And here we go. Welcome back to NHL 18 Franchise Mode Calgary Flames. And we are set to start our third full season as the GM here of the Calgary Flames. So welcome to episode 28, I believe it is. We are set to start the 2019-2020 season with the Calgary Flames, the defending Western Conference champions that we went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals just in the a couple months ago in June. Lost by 1 goal at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning, but now we officially begin our march back to the Stanley Cup. So yes, welcome to episode 28. This is an exciting time as we are set, like I said, to start our third season here as the GM of the Calgary Flames and march back to the Stanley Cup Finals, where we hope to win a Stanley Cup championship. That is our goal this season. Should be by no surprise, and obviously that's every team's goal. But when you just make it to the Stanley Cup Finals and you're a goal away from winning, your goal obviously is to get back and win the Stanley Cup. So yes, what a busy off season it was for the Calgary Flames. If you watched episodes 26 and 27, you'll know that we completely reconstructed, retooled our team from that Stanley Cup Finals team that we had in episode 24 when we played the Tampa Bay Lightning. That team last year that took us to the Stanley Cup Finals. We somewhat reconstructed, retooled our team, if you will. It was a very busy offseason. A lot of major blockbuster trades and signings for the Calgary Flames, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that we had to work with the salary cap. The fact of the matter is, in a perfect world, there is no salary cap, but in this game, obviously, and in real life, there's obviously a salary cap, so we had to work and construct our team around that. That meant moving on from a lot of names that we knew for quite a while here in Calgary, some big pieces of the Calgary Flames, but it also meant bringing in some new faces and some new big-time players. So, again, if you missed it, go back and watch episodes 26 and 27. That has the entire off-season. It was a very busy off-season. A lot of, like I said, a lot of major moves, and a lot of moves that were a huge gamble. We gambled on guys like Sam Bennett, Craig Anderson, Michael Frolik, and Travis Hamonic. Moved on from all of those guys for different situations for each of them, but then we brought in guys like Blake Wheeler and John Gibson, and then we brought in Jake Bean there in the last episode. So we made a lot of big moves. Took a lot of gambles on a lot of players, but we're hoping now is when it will all pay off as we start our third season with the Calgary Flames. So like I said, welcome to episode 28 with the Calgary Flames. We're going to jump right into here. And just before this episode started, I went and edited all of our lines, made sure that they were fully edited so we can start the season. Like I put every player where they need to be, so we have the best potential to grow our young players that are still growing and give us the best roster to win the Stanley Cup. I also did our AHL roster, and I'll get to that in a second. But here's a look at our opening day roster in the NHL. So now that we have all of our lines complete, preseason and training camp, by the way, was a pretty good success. I think we went 4-1 there on the screen. It said pretty good preseason / training camp, we really rushed through it in the last episode because I didn't want that episode to go too long. So we really hurried through that, but it was pretty good. We got a good gauge of what players made this team, and we'll get to that in a second. But here's a look at our opening day roster. So Johnny Gaudreau, John Tavares, Blake Wheeler. As soon as we went out in episode 26 and acquired Blake Wheeler, there was no doubt that he was going to replace Sam Bennett on that top line. He did drop to an 85. Johnny Gaudreau did go up to an 89. So you can take that as it, if you will, for what you want, but Gaudreau does go up by 1, Wheeler does go down by 1. That line pretty much still stays as one of the most elite top lines in the NHL. Second line looks even better because Matthew Tkachuk has gone up to an 88. He was an 87 all of last year. He's gone up to an 88. Monahan stays at an 88. Of the three of Gaudreau, Tkachuk, and Monahan, he's the only one that did not grow by 1 point, but that's okay. He stays in an 88, and James Neal 84. So again, whatever way you look at it, this is a very lethal, very good second line. We have a very top-heavy top 6. You can see very elite players. All of these players are superstar caliber players and are capable of taking us to another Stanley Cup Finals appearance. Hopefully, that's what we hope for. You can see here when we get to the third line, again, we lost Michael Frolik, we lost Michael Furlan, we lost a bunch of depth guys down here, but we still have Mark Jankowski. who I was hoping would take more of a jump, but he is staying at a 79, along with his line mate Chris Versteeg and Andrew Mangiapane, who replaces Michael Frolik. So Mangiapane played all of last year in the AHL. He came up at the end, played with us in the Stanley Cup playoffs when Sam Bennett was injured. We called him up, but you can see he's replacing Michael Frolik, who was an 82 overall on that third line. He grows to a 79 from a 77, so that's good for us. I have no doubt that Andrew Mangiapane can eventually get to an 82 to exactly where Michael Frolik was. Because as you can see, he has high top 9 potential, and he's only 23 years of age. So our third line, every player is 79. That's not a bad third line, considering the fact that they're all just one away from an 80. And in this game, 79 is pretty good for depth players on your third line. When we get to our fourth line, it's completely been gutted and reconstructed. Like I said, we lost a lot of players. Michael Furland, Dmitry Yaskins, and a bunch of depth players like that went out the door on our fourth line. And we brought in a new reconstructed fourth line. Now, Tyler Ennis was a signing in the last episode. We signed Tyler Ennis to a 1-year contract worth $900K for that one season. He comes in and he makes our opening day roster. Cedric Parquet, he did not look like he was going to come back to our team because he was asking for about, I think, $1.5 million per season. We tried to offer him a contract in the last episode. He did not take it. He rejected it, and then somehow in the month of August, he just decided that he was going to take the best offer we could give him. And I don't know if our owner or whoever made the decision, but the computer just automatically signed this guy to a 1-year contract worth how much was it? $9.45 mil, so $945,000. So that's a lot less than what he was asking for. That's even less than what we were going to offer him. So that was kind of a steal for us. I don't know how that happened, but somehow we got Cedric Parquet for even less than he wanted and even less that we were going to offer him. He just decided he wanted to come back to the Calgary Flames, and that was good for the both of us. We wanted to bring him back. He was a huge part of our fourth line and depth in the Stanley Cup playoffs for us, so it was really good to bring back Cedric Parquet. And then look who makes the team, Spencer Fu. Yes, one of our top prospects for the last couple of years in the AHL. Finally cracks the NHL roster. This will be his first rookie season in the NHL. He has yet to play an NHL game with us, but you can see here he had a pretty solid preseason. In 7 games, he had 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in 7 games, and a +1. He beat out Derek Roy, who we also have on the team, and who was our other player here? Derek Roy and Lee Stepniak. So we also went out and signed Lee Stepniak to a 2-year, $975K deal. Like I said, Tyler Ennis, 1-year, $900K, and Cedric Parquet to 1-year, $945K. So those were our depth signings in the last episode, and Lee Stepniak got beat out by Spencer Fu. Fu had a much better preseason / training camp, so we decided to bring him in instead, or crack the opening day roster. Lee Stepniak and Derek Roy are there as well, but there are opening day scratches. So they make the NHL roster. They're just scratched to start the roster, or not Derek Roy, excuse me. Yeah, Derek Roy. Who did we sent one player down to the AHL? I'll have to check on that here in a second. Oh, that was Emil Poye. Yeah, that's right. So Emil Poye was also in training camp preseason. He failed to make the NHL roster. Derek Roy and Lee Stepniak beat Emil Poye out, but you can see Spencer Fu beat them all out for that final spot on the opening day roster to start on the fourth line alongside Parquet and Ennis. And when you look at Fu, he also has high top 9 potential. So just like Andrew Mangiapane, and he's actually only 2 less than Andrew Mangiapane. Both Mangiapane and Fu were our top players in the AHL probably for the last 2 seasons. I believe Mangiapane and Fu led us in scoring in the AHL the last 2 seasons, so it's only fitting that now that we were lacking depth this upcoming season, that they take the next step and finally crack our NHL roster. So that is a welcome sight to see. These are 2 homegrown Flames prospects that really grew with us in the organization and has now finally made the jump to the NHL, and they've even beat out a couple of veteran NHL players in Derek Roy and Lee Stepniak to crack the opening day roster. So not a bad opening day roster lineup, as you can see there. Let's take a quick look at our defense. Mark Giordano, Dougie Hamilton, no doubt about it. TJ Brody, Jake Bean, no doubt about that top 4. Again, we replaced Travis Hamonic, who was an 83 overall, and we replaced him with Jake Bean. When we made that Hamonic trade, it really looked like our defense was going to be weak. It did not look like we could replace him at all. But then we went out in episode 27 and found an absolute gem in Jake Bean. This guy was sitting on Carolina's roster. He fit in perfectly for our team, so we did everything we could to get him, and we went out and acquired Jake Bean for a 2020 first, a 2020 second, and another 2020 second. If you remember from episode 26, again, if you did not see it, we accumulated a mountain of draft picks from all those trades we made. So just a quick rundown on that Jake Bean trade. The 2020 first was from Philadelphia that we got back for them offering or claiming Sam Bennett off an offer sheet. So part of the Jake Bean trade was from Sam Bennett. The 2020 second was actually Carolina's 2020 second that we acquired last year at the trade deadline when we made that three-way trade for Rick Nash, and then the computer glitched it out and we had to trade him to Carolina. So we got their second-round pick for that Rick Nash trade that he didn't even end up coming to the Flames in that three-way trade. And then the other 2020 second was Nashville's 2020 second that we got in the Michael Frolik trade when we traded Frolik and Morrow this offseason. So basically, you can see that in that Jake Bean trade, we didn't give up any of our own draft picks. We gave up picks that we accumulated over the last few months by trades, and that paid itself for Jake Bean. So I mean, this was almost like it wasn't getting a player for free, but it almost was. We didn't have to give up any of our roster players or any of our draft picks. We gave up trading chips that we acquired for some big pieces that we moved out in the last couple of months. So in a way, that was a really steal of a deal for the Calgary Flames. He was an 84 when we acquired him in the last episode. He's already grown to an 85. Like I said, low elite potential, 21 years of age. This was an absolute steal for us, and he is an upgrade over Travis Hamonic. So I was really regretting that Travis Hamonic trade in episode 26 because I thought we were really weakening our defensive core. I thought there was no way we were going to replace Travis Hamonic, but it ends up not only did we replace him, but we upgraded over Travis Hamonic with Jake Bean. So we really lucked out that this guy was not available, but he was a possible trade target at 21 years of age and 85 overall now. But the biggest thing was his contract, $925K for the next 2 seasons. If he was making any more than $1 million, we would not have been able to afford this guy. That is an incredible contract for a guy that's already 85 overall. So Bean has just completely revamped our defensive core, and once again we have an extremely strong top 4 with Giordano and Hamilton. Now Giordano did go down by 1, as did TJ Brody. I believe they were both 87 last year. They have both dropped to an 86, but again we're bringing in Jake Bean to help balance out that top 4. Dougie Hamilton stays at an 89, and then you can see both Slater Kuku and Rasmus Andersson crack the opening day roster. Rasmus Andersson was the guy that was actually going to play with Brody if we did not go out and get Bean, so you can see Bean at an 85, Rasmus Andersson at a 77. That's a huge difference. I'm so glad we have Bean in there because Rasmus Andersson was supposed to be around 80 to an 85 this season and has yet to grow there with medium top 4 potential. But hopefully this season he'll take the jump there in the third pairing with Slater Kuku. So we bring back Andersson and Kuku on our third pairing. Brett Kulak failed to make our opening day roster because another player stepped up in training camp that I did not expect to step up, and that was Oliver Chillington. So again, he cracks our opening day roster, but just misses the opening day lineup. He's on our roster, but not the opening day lineup. He did have a really strong preseason as well. 3 assists in those 7 games, plus 4. Pretty good for Oliver Chillington, who's already a 78 overall, medium top 6 potential. This is a guy that was in our system as a top prospect. Really did not know if he was going to grow at all, but finally this season he's decided he's going to make the jump. 22 years of age, so he is cracked our opening day lineup with Rasmus Andersson and Slater Kuku. So now we have 7 strong defensemen we can roll there, especially our bottom pairing. If we do not like what we're seeing out of either Kuku or Andersson, we can swap him for Chillington. And the big thing about Chillington is he's on a 2-way contract as well. So at any point of the season, we can send him back down to the AHL without him having to clear waivers, and we can also call him back up. So this is really good for us. It gives us a lot of options down here with our defensive core, options we did not have 1 year ago. It gives us an upgrade over Travis Hamonic. I mean, our defensive core somehow came out of last season and is even better than it was last season and in the offseason. I don't know how we worked that, but somehow it happened. So like I said, I'm very excited with that defensive core. So that's good to see. Like the options there. Also like the options with our forward group. Like I said, we have some good options down here with Derek Roy and who was that? Derek Roy and Lee Stepniak. Excuse me, Lee Stepniak, that we can bring in. Again, if one of these guys are struggling, we can send Spencer Fu is also on a 2-way contract, I believe. No, he's on a 1-way contract. Stepniak, I believe, is on a 2-way contract, as is Derek Roy. There's a couple forwards that are on 2-way contracts. So again, we can send them down if we have to. If we got too many players up here, if we like what we're seeing and those guys aren't getting any ice time, we can send them back down to the AHL, give our AHL team some strength down there. So, but no, like what we're seeing here in the NHL, we've got a very good, deep roster. Now, finally, we have a lot of depth options down here on both the forwards and defense. That was something that we really wanted to address in the offseason, and we did that in the previous episode. A really good episode 27 was, for us, because we made a lot of good signings. We got all of our players for under $1 million. The other guy that I probably should mention that we also went out and got in the last episode was Anton Khobin. We got him for under $1 million. He's a solid, solidified backup behind John Gibson. $975K for 2 years. Not bad. 33 years of age. Yes, he'll probably go down, but at 78 overall, all we need him to do is come in behind John Gibson, play a couple games, stabilize that backup position if we need him to. 78. You can see John Gibson grew from an 88 to an 89, so he's already improving. He probably should get to 90 this season. Medium elite potential there. The guy we went out and got in episode 26, the reigning Conn Smythe Trophy winner. And so basically, he's going to play the majority of our games. Anton Khobin is just there for insurance purposes. But we had no goalies at all when we regutted our goalie situation when we traded away both Anderson and Parsons for John Gibson. But a huge signing in the last episode was Anton Khobin as well. So big signings there, as you can see. That's what our opening day roster looks like. I also went out and edited all of the special teams. I'll just give you a quick look at the power play. That's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with basically our top 2 lines. The only difference we're making is Monahan and Blake Wheeler are going to switch positions. So we're going to stack that top unit with Gaudreau, Tavares, and Monahan, Giordano, Hamilton, and then we'll Chuck, Wheeler, Neal, Brody, and Bean. So we'll stack our top 2 units there, and then I just went out and put our top players onto all of our lines, including the penalty kill. Our best defensive forwards are Tavares and Kachuk, so they're our top PK unit. Monahan and Gaudreau come in as our second PK unit, keeping our top 4 intact through all these lines, as you can see. And then 4 and 4s, again, every top player is in there in every situation. And then 3 on 3 looks like this: Tavares, Gaudreau, Hamilton, Monahan, Kachuk, Giordano, and then Wheeler, Neal, and Bean. Bean is an offensive defenseman, and so I brought him in over TJ Brody into the 3 on 3. And then extras and shootouts. I forgot to finish shootouts. We'll have to put Johnny Gaudreau in the shootout, because that could be key. So let's quickly do that. I forgot to edit the shootout. Okay, so we'll go with that. Tavares, Gaudreau, let's go Monahan, Wheeler, and sure, Jake Bean can be in the shootout too. I don't care. So that's what it looks like there. Like I said, goalies look like that, and extra players are Derek Roy, Lee Stepniak, and Oliver Chillingson. So we got a lot to work with in terms of extra players. So that's what our NHL team looks like. Again, AHL team, I just quickly went through the lines. Actually, I pretty much kept the lines the same. I'm going to get to that in a second. We got some moves here quickly to make when it comes to our AHL team. You can see we're not as deep on our AHL team as we have been the past couple seasons, obviously, because we got a lot of guys that have graduated to the NHL level. Rasmus Anderson, Oliver Chillington, Derek Roy, Andrew Mangiapane, guys like that finally made the jump, and Spencer Fu, excuse me. So a bunch of guys that were locks on our AHL the past how many years are now on our NHL team. We also traded away guys like Hunter Shinkarik, and like I said, guys like that are depth guys. So we did lose quite a few players from our AHL team, but we still have some good players up here and some good prospects. Dylan Dubé is probably now our top prospect in the forward group. It was Andrew Mangiapane and Spencer Fu for a number of seasons, but it's probably now Dylan Dubé or Emile Poirier. But Dylan Dubé has a medium top potential. Poirier has a low top 9 potential. So Matthew Phillips is also up there with a medium bottom 6. So these guys will form our top line as we hope to continue to grow them. Zach Fisher, Captain Freddie Hamilton, and Garnet Hathaway, second line there. Itu Tuola, Gabriel Jones, and Deontan Jolie, or however you say his name, down there. And then we got a bunch of guys down here on our fourth line that are in the 50s. And then when our defense comes like this, Yusuf Valimaki is now our top prospect, period. In all of our AHL roster and our prospects, all of them, Yusuf Valimaki is now our #1 prospect. Median top 4 potential on the defensive core, 74 overall. This guy probably is going to be an NHL defenseman. But again, he's probably still another 2 years away, at least 1 year away. He's got to have another strong year in the AHL, but maybe 2 years away. So he is coming in on our blue line as well. So we will have him coming in behind Chillington and Anderson eventually. So he is on every line possible. I put him on every line because I want to continue to grow him. He'll play with Brett Kulak, who just failed to miss our NHL team once again. I feel bad for Kulak because he just misses the cut every year. He was on our NHL team, I think, in our very first season, and then when we had all of our prospects finally coming through for us, they've all beat Brett Kulak out every single year. So he's kind of turned into the new Tyler Wotherspoon. He just keeps getting pushed back down to the AHL, but it's good to know we have these guys. Like Kulak and Wotherspoon are both 77. I mean, let's pray we don't get any injuries to our defensive core. But we already have 7 defensemen in the NHL. But shall we have even more injuries for some weird reason? We have options down here. Brett Kulak would be our first call-up. Tyler Wotherspoon would be our second call-up. We're loaded when it comes to depth on the defensive core. So that's nice to see. And a top prospect in Yusuf Valimaki, not far behind. So that's good to see there, the defensive core there. I kept all the rest of the lines the same. But the only thing is when we come to goalies, we did not, because we traded away Tyler Parsons, who was our #1 goalie here in the AHL, we did not replace Parsons. There's Nick Schneider. That's all we have right now. And then they put this random Phil Giordano on our team. I don't even know who this guy is, but we did not even have 4 goalies. Like, once we went and got Gibson, we only had Gibson and Schneider. That's why we had to sign Anton Khobin as our NHL backup, but we didn't even get a backup for the AHL. So they just gave us a random goalie. He's 51 overall. He's a backup. Well, I mean, he's not even an AHL backup. He does have AHL potential, but there's also Nick Schneider, who's a 67. But I'm going to get to that in a second. So when I look at our AHL team, we are a little bit weak. Again, I'm not focused on winning a championship down in the AHL, but I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more depth. And I was thinking, well, why do we have these random guys? I know they're, like Gavin Kennedy was our draft pick, this guy was undrafted, and this guy was undrafted. So the only guys on here that were that on this fourth line, that is actually ours is Gavin Kennedy. Again, we didn't even have enough players to fill in our bottom line here in the AHL. So they just gave us some random players. But why are we giving these random players some time when we still have all of our prospects from this year's draft unsigned? So that's what I said. I was like, you know what? I forgot that we did not sign all of our prospects in the last 2 episodes, because when we were going through the episode 26 and episode 27, I didn't want to sign any more players because we were working right up against the cap. But now that we are done, we have added all the players we need to our team, and we have tons of roster space or contract space. You can see down there, we only have 38 of our 50 contracts full. I mean, we can add another 12 contracts here. So why not go and sign all those players that we didn't sign? So go to not signed recently, unsigned players. You can see we have a ton of prospects down here that we haven't even signed from the last 2 drafts. So let's start locking some of these guys up. So let's start with the guys that have the highest potential. This guy right here we took in the this year's draft, 3rd overall. So let's sign him. He's got low top 9 potential. So let's give him a contract. Let's offer that. And yep, offer the contract, his 3-year entry-level contract. This guy's got low top 6 potential as a defenseman, so let's also just offer him a contract. Why not? We have the contract space too. This is another defenseman, so let's offer him his contract, low top 6 potential as well. And then we get some more forwards down here. So let's sign this guy. Let's sign 2 more forwards, and then we'll go from there. So we'll sign this guy and this guy, Wallace. Offer a contract, blah, 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 blah. So we just offered 3 forwards and 2 defensemen a contract. These guys down here, we'll give this guy, because he's got medium bottom 6 potential, so we'll give him a contract as well. His entry-level contract. And then these guys, they only have AHL potential, so we'll leave them there for now. If we want, we can come back and sign them, but we'll leave them unsigned for now. Now that's the forward group. So we signed, what was it, 4 forwards and 2 defensemen. They can come in and be placeholders in our AHL team, and plus they're our prospects, our future prospects. So why not sign them? But there was another thing here. I went into let's see here. Let's go back to NHL. I went into free agency because I just wanted to see who was left in free agency now that the regular season is about to start. And just looked at some of the players. There are still some players out there. But I went to goalies just for the fun of it. And I found this one guy right here. Where is he? Was it this guy? Yeah, I think it was... No, there was... trying to look here. I think it's this guy right here. Yeah, this guy. Okay, so I don't even know how to say his name, Matthias Netteberg, but he's got medium backup potential. He's 75 overall, and Anton Forsberg has also got medium backup potential. So just looking here, I think it was this guy right here. I was just looking at him, and I was like, you know what? He's not like he's only 26, or was it this guy here? It might have been this guy. Or no, it was this guy. What am I... Okay, sorry guys. It was this guy. He's only 22 years of age. He's got medium backup potential. He's 74 overall. He's already an upgrade over Nick Schneider in the AHL. So he's the big thing about this guy is he's 22. So you can see the rest of these guys. That's what I should have been looking at all along, was the age category. You can see the rest of all these guys, 26, 26, 27, 25, like 28. These guys already, Barubre is an exact elite, same with this guy here. But see these guys here that are at 26, 26, these guys are going to be exact after this. So that means they're not growing any more than probably a 77. So they're 77 at best. But this guy down here, I mean, I don't know where he came from. He's like, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He's not even drafted by anybody. Or he was drafted in Minnesota in 2015 in the 4th round. But they obviously didn't sign him. He's now a free agent. But he's only 22 years of age. Like, he's got medium backup potential. I wonder if we give this guy all of the starts in the AHL, I wonder if he'll just grow. And even if he doesn't, like, we're not expecting him to get to an NHL goalie status. But you know what? Even if he grows a bit, like this will be a free goalie basically. Like Minnesota just left him and didn't sign him. Why don't we pick him up, give him a contract, let him play in our AHL team, and take the chance that maybe he will grow? I mean, again, it's another gamble, but I mean, there's no losing because we didn't have to pay anything to get this guy. So let's take a shot at this guy right here. We'll give him a contract, like I said, 74. He just wants 1 year, so we can get 2 years. He just wants 1 year, so we'll give him 1 year for now, and we'll see what he does in the AHL in 1 year. But he doesn't have a contract. Let's just give this guy a shot in our AHL. I mean, it doesn't matter if our AHL team does good or not. We'll give him the net. So yeah, I just wanted to do that quickly. So add some players down there to our AHL team. We'll sign our forwards that were already our draft picks. Let's get them into the system, and let's get that random goalie into the system. That should strengthen our AHL team a little bit, and then we look good. So that is what it looks like. Our opening day rosters are set in both the NHL and the AHL. So now when we sim forward, we are going to be, we're going to have to be in salary cap, match with the salary cap and match with the waivers on these next 2 days. So there's no doubt about it. We've made our final roster moves. Our players that are in the NHL are players that are going to be the opening day roster players. So let's get right up to game number 1 of the 2019-2020 season and begin our 82-game march back to the Stanley Cup Finals. So there's that goalie. He's accepted our offer. He was extremely happy. So obviously I fully expected he would because there was no other teams giving him a contract. So hey, again, let's just give him. He's got potential for a medium backup, I believe it was 74 overall. Let's give him the shot and goal. So that's good to see. None of our other prospects have come back just yet and have accepted our offers, but we'll see what they do here. So we are set to start the opening day of the 2019-2020 season. Just before we do, I'm just going to put that goalie into our AHL roster and put him into to our lineup. So let's just go do that right now. But yeah, no, I think that's going to be a good risk for us to take. Again, there's no losing. I mean, we're taking a gamble that maybe he turns out to be something. He's a free goalie. So again, he's an upgrade over Nick Schneider at 74. So we'll take out that random goalie that they gave us, put him up over Nick Schneider, and we'll give him all the starts. See if he can grow. 22 years of age. Again, I'm not trying to replace Tyler Parsons, who had high starter potential and was a 79, I believe it was. But hey, this guy's a 74 and has medium backup potential. Even if he can get as half good of what Parsons gonna get, I mean, that would still be pretty good. I would feel much better about trading away Tyler Parsons if this guy just comes out of nowhere and turns out to be somewhat of a good goalie for us in the future. So, again, we traded away our best prospect and our best goalie prospect we had and now we just got a good goalie prospect for free out of free agency. So thank you, Minnesota, for letting him go. We'll take a risk on him. We'll take a gamble and see if he turns out to be anything good for our team. But now we are back to the NHL. Let's get set to start the 2019-2020 season. Take a drink here, and let's just jump right in. Don't know how much of the season we'll get through in this episode, but we'll try and get through as much as we can. So let's start with game number one. It's the Washington Capitals. It's the Calgary Flames. Like I said, we're trying to begin our march back to the Stanley Cup Finals. So let's get right into it. You saw our opening day rosters. Let's get right into game numero one. Let's see if we can start off the 1920 season with a victory. So we'll go this one, because it's the first game, we'll go real-time sim. We'll just see how it goes. Or actually, here we'll go period by period. So first period, we get on the board first. Matthew Tkachuk gets the first goal for the Calgary Flames of the 2019-2020 season. Good to see out of Matthew Tkachuk. Good to see him continuing to score after his really good, solid last season. Second period for the Calgary Flames, nobody scores. Third period, come on Calgary, they get two late goals. It is Tom Wilson and Alex Ovechkin getting their first of the season, and the Washington Capitals come from behind in the third period and beat us by a score of 2-1. So that's kind of a disappointing start to our season, because we did have that 1-0 lead through 40 minutes of play, and we let them come back there in the third period. But that's okay. That's just the first game of the season. Fourth line, we're in the minuses, but that's okay. We'll move on from there. And let's go goaltending. How did Gibson do in his Calgary Flames debut? Not too bad. A 9.33. You know, the other thing I forgot to do was also look at our numbers. I forgot to look at which captains and numbers we got. So let's go continue here. It doesn't really matter too much, but I just like to do it. So let's go to team management here. Whoops. Now the menu's slow. So let's go to where is it? Captains and jerseys for both our NHL and then our AHL. So in the so I forgot to completely reassign our captains. So James Neal is not an assistant, so let's unassign you. We're just going to go with the same captains as last year. So Sean Monahan and John Tavares wear the A's, and of course Mark Giordano wears the C, our longtime captain. But let's give the A's back to Tavares and Monahan. I don't know why those guys had it. Looking at numbers, everything else is fine. Everybody has their same numbers. Mangiapane is going to wear 28 this year, so I guess that's fine. James Neal stays at 18. Spencer Foo's going to wear 16 in his first season as a Flame. Tyler Ennis gets 63, of course. Blake Wheeler, 26. His same number that he had in Winnipeg. Rasmus Anderson stays at 54. Jake Bean's going to take number 3. Dion Phaneuf's old number. Slater Cuckoo wants 65. Sure. Carlson's number in Ottawa. And then Anton Khobin, Khobin is going to wear 35, and John Gibson will wear his 36, so that is fine. I have no problems there with any of that. It's just sometimes randomly this computer will just give away like number 12 to a random player, and it's like clearly number 12 is not ever going to be touched on this organization ever again after Jerome McGinley. So I don't know why the computer does that, but it does. In the AHL, I don't care about the numbers. I just care about the captaincies. Freddie Hamilton, I believe this is his 4th straight season wearing the C, 3rd straight season for us wearing the C in the AHL, so we'll give him the C for a 4th straight or 3rd straight season, whatever it is. And then, Brett Kulak and Emil Poirier wearing the A. So I think those were the same guys that were wearing the letters last season, and you can see the numbers there. I don't really care about in the AHL, but just wanted to redo the NHL letters because Tavares and Monahan are clear assistant captains behind Mark Giordano. So that is that. Let's get into game number 2 here. So again, we lose the opening game of the season 2-1 at the hands of the Washington Capitals. But let's get into our first game against a division rival, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights. So let's sim this one. And let's, you can see there we got a busy month of October, so let's see if we can get through this whole month here in this episode. So let's go first period here. They get on the board. Vadim Shipachyov beats John Gibson 1-0 Vegas Golden Knights. Second period, we get on the board. Johnny Gaudreau's first of the season. Good to see there. William Karlsson also scoring, so it's still 2-1 Vegas. Can we tie it up in the third? Flames? We do, but then they get 2 quick goals. Eric Haula and Shipachyov again. James Neal scoring against his former team 18 seconds into the period to tie the game up, but then, like I said, Eric Haula and Vadim Shipachyov with his second seal the deal. So the Calgary Flames have now gone 0-2 to start the season. Not a good start to the season for the defending Western Conference champions, but hey, we can bounce back. There's still 80 games to go on the season. So again, just looking at the plus minuses here, pretty much our top line, some of our bottom guys were in the minuses. Not a good start. But again, we're only losing these games by like 1 goal apiece. John Gibson, not as good of a night at 8-7-9. I don't think we're going to see too many nights where John Gibson will be below 900 in the save percentage category, but he was just below 900 in this game. So again, Gibson is an 89. He's a huge upgrade over both Mike Smith and Craig Anderson was last season. So I expect we're going to see a much better goaltending performance than we did the previous couple seasons. So draft class is good, fine. We did forget, or I think I did assign our scouting to start wherever, but that message will pop up if we did not. So Philadelphia Flyers, game number 3 of the season. So let's jump right into it. Sam Bennett makes his debut back to Calgary, just 3 games into the season, and Sam Bennett is back in Calgary, the same team that drafted him 4th overall in 2014 after we released him after Philadelphia claimed him in the off season and offered him an offer sheet. We got a 2020 first and a 2020 third round pick back, part of which that first we used in the Jake Bean trade. But yes, Sam Bennett making his return to Calgary. So let's take a look. First period, and Bennett scores. He beats John Gibson 33 seconds into the hockey game, I believe it is, and then Johnny Gaudreau scores for the Flames. So Sam Bennett in his return to Calgary scores. That's got to be a sore spot for the Flames fans to see, obviously. But hey, I still think we made the right decision taking Blake Wheeler over Sam Bennett, although right now Bennett, early in the season at least, Bennett is looking better than Wheeler. But again, we're just 3 games into the season. But that's crazy. Bennett scores in his return to Calgary. Johnny Gaudreau gets his 2nd of the season, beats former Flame Brian Elliott, 2nd period Flames. And there's John Tavares, his 1st of the season. Good to see from Johnny T. So that's what we need. 2-1 lead. Can we hang on in the 3rd period? And we do. They score 1 more. Sonny Milano beating Gibson. But Jake Bean gets his 1st as a Calgary Flame in his hometown. For his home team, and it's his 1st goal as a Calgary Flame. He scored so many goals in the Saddle Dome as a member of the Calgary Hitmen, and now he's got his 1st as a Calgary Flame, and it ends up being the 1st game winner of the season for the Calgary Flames. So yes, not only is it Bean's 1st goal, not only is it the Flames' 1st win of the season, but it's the 1st game winner of the season by Jake Bean. So that's good to see. Obviously happy to see that out of Beaner and Gaudreau and Tavares scoring as well. So again, a couple minuses here. I was going to switch up our 4th line, but again, we just got the win, so maybe I'll leave things as is right now. 9-4-9 for John Gibson. So we will continue to roll here. I think if we lose another one here, though, I might try switching up our 4th line just a little bit, now that we got options with Lee Stepniak and Derek Roy down there, as well as Oliver Chillington on the back end. So here's the Minnesota Wild. We are 1-2-0 to start the season. They're 2-1-0. Let's play our first road game of the season, and that's against the Minnesota Wild. So let's get right into it. So good to get our first win out of the way there against the Philadelphia Flyers. Here we go, Minnesota Wild, first road game of the season. We scored 2. James Neal, Jake Bean, back-to-back games with a goal for Jake Bean. And then they get 1 here as well. 2nd period, Flames. 2 more. There it is. Spencer Foo's 1st NHL goal. 1st as a Calgary Flame, but more importantly, 1st NHL goal in his 4th NHL game. Not bad to see. Tyler Ennis, his 1st goal as a Calgary Flame. They beat Calgary native Devin Dubnyk. We have a 4-1 lead after 40. Do we hang on? We do. 4-1 is the final. We will obviously take it. Good to see Jake Bean scoring in back-to-back games. Tyler Ennis getting his 1st as a Calgary Flame. But Spencer Foo, so many goals for the Stockton Heat in the AHL the past 2 seasons. Finally gets his 1st NHL goal and 1st NHL assist. So he gets his 1st couple NHL points of his career in a game against the Minnesota Wild. Not bad to see out of Spencer Foo and Tyler Ennis on the 4th line. 2-point night for both of them. So the 4th line, they only played 4 minutes and some seconds of hockey, but of hockey in that game, but they both end up being huge on the score sheet for us. So this was a huge game for our depth guys on our 4th line. Good plus minuses for most of our guys. Just our 3rd line struggled a little bit there in the minuses. Just want to see who's leading us in ice time on average. Yeah, so it's still our top guys leading us in ice time. They just didn't do too much tonight. But no, that's good to see. Another really good night for John Gibson. Like I said, I think this is what we're going to be seeing a lot more this season out of John Gibson, is numbers close to that when it comes to the save percentage category, 971. Really good for John Gibson. Again, he's an 89. Fully expect he'll grow this season as well. So let's jump into our next game here against the Florida Panthers. We are now 2-0. So after a 0-2 start to the season, we have got back to 500 early. But let's see if we can eclipse 500 for the first time this season as we welcome the Florida Panthers. So let's jump right into this one. Just taking a look here at this episode time, yeah. So we'll get through this first month probably for sure. So, first period, okay. Calgary Flames, Florida Panthers, nothing. Second period, Flames, Panthers, still nothing. 20-21 are the shots. Third period, Flames, Panthers, and we get 3 straight. 3 unanswered goals to win the game. Mark Jankowski, James the Real Deal Neal, and Johnny Gaudreau, his 3rd of the season. Flames scored 3 unanswered on James Reimer in the 3rd, and we cruised to a 3-0 win. So it was a little shaky in the first 40, but we come through in the 3rd period huge with 3 goals. So that's what you like to see, of course. Nothing in the minuses there, and a pretty good night for Jake Bean and Blake Wheeler. Wheeler picking up, I believe, his first 2 points as a Calgary Flame. Good to see. Still awaiting him in the goals department, but good to see him get his first 2 goals, or 2 points, I should say, of as a Calgary Flame. John Gibson, 28 saves on 28 shots, his first shutout as a Calgary Flame. There's going to be a lot of firsts in these first few games because, I mean, like I said, we have so many new members on this team. So, but no, that is good to see. John Gibson picks up his first shutout as a member of the Calgary Flames. Again, probably expecting a lot more of that as well this season. So we will go 5 weeks here to start in the WHL. But yes, I'm expecting we'll see a lot more out of Gibson than we did, or a lot more out of our goaltending department with Gibson than we did the last few seasons. Excuse me. Taking another drink there, but yes, like I said, I believe I said in the last episode, for the first time since I believe we had Mika Kiprasov. We actually have a solidified #1 goalie now. For a long time there, we did not have a #1 goalie for a long time. So it's a rematch right now of the 2019 Stanley Cup Finals. Tampa Bay, John Gibson playing his first game against his former team, but this one's in Calgary. Tampa Bay, Calgary. So first game, Craig Anderson and Tyler Parsons is on this team as well, but I believe Andrei Vasilevsky is getting the start. So let's go second period here. Yeah, Andrei Vasilevsky is getting the start. So Jankowski beats Vasilevsky. Adam Ernie beats his former netminder John Gibson, 1-1 after 40. Third period, Flames, Lightning, nothing. This game's going to overtime, just like it did in Game 7 in June in the finals. Overtime, do we pull it off? And we do. John Tavares scores in overtime 53 seconds in to beat Andrei Vasilevsky. Will take the win, but you know what? They took the win in Game 7 and won the Stanley Cup over us, so they still have us beat, but we will take the win now. It's not obviously as good as the Stanley Cup, but hey, we'll take it. So, but no, we do get the win in the first rematch against Tampa Bay since the Stanley Cup Finals. You can see there, pretty good night all around. John Tavares' first game winner of the season. He had a lot of those last season, a lot of overtime wins. 9-6-4 for the former Tampa Bay Lightning against his former team, former Tampa Bay Lightning netminder against his former team in John Gibson. So Gibson continues to row for us. We have now won 4 straight games in a row, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Florida, Tampa. We are on a row. We are now back to 4-2-0 on the season, so we've propelled ourselves back into where we should be on the season, about halfway through the month of October, and now we got the Washington Capitals once again. So we played the Washington Capitals to open the season. Now we'll finish off the season series early here in the season, going to Washington. So they got the best of us in a 2-1 victory to open the season. Let's see if we can win the rematch here against the Capitals. So let's get right in. 4-2-0 on the season. They're 4-0-2 on the season. But again, we got to get this rematch here. We're starting to roll. Like I said, we won 4 straight. Can we keep it going here? Nothing in the first. Madison Bowie scores, in the second, beating John Gibson. Can we fight back in the third period, Calgary Flames? No. They get 2 more goals. Andy Andrioff and this guy right here. So they get 3 goals there by their team, and it is 3-0 Washington Capitals final. So that's not good. They do win the season series. They sweep the season series against us. So that's not what you like to see. But our 4-game winning streak is snapped at the hands of the Washington Capitals. So Brody and Bean struggled a little bit in this game. -2. Ennis Fu, minuses as well. Gaudreau, Giordano, Mangiapane, all in the minuses down here as well. Parquet. So our 4th line was in the minuses, but so was our second and third line pretty much as well. 9-1-7, pretty good night for John Gibson despite the loss. 3-0 loss there at the hands of the Capitals. So we'll make a minor change to our fourth line after snapping our 4-game losing streak before we start against the Ottawa Senators, because we have yet to make a lineup change. We are almost through the month of October. So still 4-3-0 on the season. Obviously, you'd like to be slightly better to start, but we're still above 500. It is the first month. Jake Bean's leading us in points, 6 points. Like, am I ever happy we made that trade? That is huge. But let's get right into our lineup here. So Ennis and Parquet and Fu have struggled on this fourth line a little bit to start. You can see Parquet is in the minuses. 3 points so far for Tyler Ennis. That's not bad. 1 point and 2 points there for Spencer Fu. So we'll try making one change here, and that's taking out Cedric Parquet, and we're bringing in Derek Roy. Let's see if this can do anything. We'll leave Fu and Ennis for now. Leave everything else as well. I just want to check in on Slater Cuckoo and Rasmus Anderson. Cuckoo is a -2, Anderson's a -2. So both have had a struggle to start. We'll give them one more game, but if they continue to struggle, I'm going to bring in Oliver Chillington here and see if that makes a difference. But am I ever happy with Jake Bean? My God, he is just. Did I just say Jake Bean's an 86? Like, he just started as an 85. Is he already an 86? Like, I am. Oh, he's an 85. Okay, for some reason I thought that said 86. I was like, did he just grow by 2? Like, since we got him? Like, that would have just been crazy. But I have no doubt that he probably will get to an 86 at some point this season. I just thought, I was like, was he already an 86? I mean, I think that's going to end up being a steal of a trade for us. I think no matter what happens with the Sam Bennett move and the Blake Wheeler move, that might have been a risky one. But I think the Travis Hamonic for Jake Bean, if you will, I think that will be a good one for us. I just accidentally simmed through this Ottawa game. I thought we had played it, and I was simming up to Boston, and we just won against Ottawa 7-0. So, okay. So there's that. So obviously we don't have to make any lineup changes. We just scored 7 goals on the Senators and beat them 7-0. Gibson gets his second shutout, and I don't even know who scored, but we got a 7-0 win. I accidentally simmed through that one. Whoops. Whatever. It worked for us. We won 7-0. Let's get right to Boston then. So obviously won't make any lineup changes. Boston, first period, Calgary Flames. We get 2. Jake Bean and Matthew Tkachuk score for us. Their second period. 3 more goals. Derek Roy in his Calgary Flames debut, or I don't know, maybe he scored in the last game again, we didn't see. James Neal and Blake Wheeler, third period. Holy shit, we finished it off in style. Spencer Fu, Andrew Mangiapane, they get one from Brandon Carlo, but then Jake Bean again, Derek Roy, and Johnny Gaudreau. I believe that is a hat trick for Jake frickin' Bean. Like, are we serious right now? Like, this might be trade of the year. Acquiring Bean for a first and 2 seconds from Carolina. But wow, was that ever something? No, that was just his second. For some reason, I thought that was his third. But still, that's a 3-point night for Jake Bean. 3-point night for Spencer Fu, who's looked really good in his rookie season as a Calgary Flame. Johnny Gaudreau, 3-point night. James Neal, 3-point night. Derek Roy, Matthew Tkachuk, Blake Wheeler, all having 3-point nights. 2-point night for TJ Brodie. Like, what a night it was. 10 goals on the board for the Calgary Flames. 9-5-0 for John Gibson. We just went through Ottawa and Boston and scored a combined 17 goals. And we allowed a combined 1 goal. Like, look at that. Look at that. I mean, it started off weak on our road trip against Washington. But then we went through Ottawa and Boston and outscored our opponents 17-1. That is incredible. Let's see if we can finish it off here on the road trip in New Jersey. But to score 17 goals in 2 games, like, that is, wow. No offense is that good, but that's nice to see our offense just break through in 2 straight games, because that is obviously huge for us. So let's go to goals here. So Flames Devils finishing off our 4-game road trip. Derek Roy gets the first one in the first period against Corey Schneider. Second period, nothing. Third period, and it is Mark Giordano. I believe that's his first of the season, possibly. He beats Corey Schneider. We get another shutout. Corey Schneider, excuse me. But John Gibson, his second shutout in a span of 3 games. Not too bad. When we look here at points, wasn't much there. 2-point night for Dougie Hamilton. Nice to see out of that. But John Gibson, 26 saves for the shutout performance. Again, that's his second shutout in the last 3 games and 3rd shutout, I believe, of the season. So already we are just at the end of the month of October, and already John Gibson has stellar numbers and has 3 shutouts. So you can see our goaltending has completely improved this offseason with the acquisition of John Gibson. We gave up a lot to get Gibson. Like, I mean, a lot of pieces and a lot of potential in Tyler Parsons and Craig Anderson and a first-round pick. But we got one hell of an elite goalie in John Gibson. And so far, early in the season, he is showing us just why. So 7-3-0 on the season. We now visit the Buffalo Sabres to round out the month of October. And then I think we're going to end this episode here. So let's finish. Oops, don't want to play the game. Let's finish off with the Buffalo Sabres. And then, yeah, we'll end the month of October and end this episode here. And we will start episode 29 with the month of November. But let's end this one with one more game here against the Sabres. Let's see if we can finish off the month strong. Pretty solid month for us, I do have to say, for the Calgary Flames. So first, all right, so I accidentally ended the screen recording there, and we ended up skipping the Buffalo game, but we did win it by a score of 3-1. So that's all that matters. So we do improve to a pretty good record here in the opening month of the 2019-2020 season. We go 8-3-0 here in the month of October. So not a bad start there. Obviously, it ended off with a 4-game winning streak that saw us score, what was that, 17, 18, 19 goals in a combined 3 games with only 1 goal against, 2 shutouts, and then a 3-1 win here against the Sabres. So not bad if you ask me. That is pretty good. What is that, 18, 19, 20, 21 to 2 we were outscored, or we outscored our opponent, 21 to 2 in that 4-game winning streak to end the month of October. So that's where we were end this episode here. We will pick up the next episode, episode 29. In the next episode, we will pick it up, with the month of November. That's what I was trying to say. We do go 8-3-0 in the month of October, so we're off to a very hot start in our pursuit back to the Stanley Cup Finals.